Hello once again, welcome to Mima's Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this crossbody bag here. So it has got a beautiful pattern, okay, and we're going to be crocheting in rows. So let's see what we're going to need for us to crochet this bag. We're going to need a scissors, a crochet hook. I used a 6mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle, a stitch marker, and then you're also going to need this chain here as the handle. And if you don't have this, you can just crochet a handle and then attach it to the bag. This is for decoration purpose. If you don't want to put it, it's still fine. This is just a small metal ring. So for the yarn, I used macrame cord. This is a 4mm thick macrame cord, and I also used two colors, orange and brown. If you want, you can use one color throughout, it's still fine, or even 3 colors is still fine. So let's begin. So we're going to begin with a foundation chain of 36. Okay, so this is my slip knot. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to continue and come back with a chain of 36. So here I now have 36 chains. So you find that if you want to make this bag bigger, you just increase the number of chains, but make sure that they are even numbers. The main number that you want to work with is 35. The first stitch here from the hook, it doesn't count, so 135 here plus 1 to make them 36. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do single crochet and slip stitch. But instead of crocheting on top of these chains, we're going to crochet in the bag bumps. But before we do that, we want to mark the middle stitch. Okay, so you find that if we skip this first stitch here, we remain with 35 chains, and if we divide that by 2, we get 17.5. So the middle stitch is 18. So I'm going to put a stitch marker in stitch number 18 or chain number 18. So I'm going to start counting from the second one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Like this. Okay. So I've divided into 2. Here I have 17 chains as well as this side. So now let's begin the first row. So here I'm going to skip this first chain from the hook. Then I'm going to turn my chains, and then I'm going to insert my hook in the back bump. Okay, so the first 4 chains are going to be slip stitch. Okay, so that's 1 slip stitch. Okay, in the next one, slip stitch again, 2, in the next one, slip stitch again, 3, in the next one, slip stitch again, 4. Okay, so these ones are slip stitch, and we're going to continue repeating this up until we finish the bag. So in this one, I'm going to do single crochet up until I'm at this point. So here I put 1 single crochet like this, yarn over, and then pull through. Okay, again into the following single crochet, like this. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. Let's meet here. Okay, so we're here in the middle. So what we're going to do here is, in this stitch, I'm going to put 3 single crochets in this one. Okay, so that's 1 single crochet, again 2, again 3. So I'm going to move on into the following chain and put 1 single crochet. So I wanted to create this curve here. So here I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet. Let's meet towards the end here. So here I'm almost at the end. So you find that we're going to do what we did here at the beginning. So every last 4 stitches are going to be slip stitch. So here we're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is going to be 1 single crochet like this. And now these ones are going to be slip stitch. Okay, so insert your hook, grab your yarn, and then pull through. Insert again, pull through, slip stitch like that. And then the last one like this. And then here, before you turn, you chain 1. This doesn't count as a stitch. So now move on to the second row. So here we want to make sure that each time we begin a row, we begin with 4 slip stitches, and then we also finish with 4 slip stitches. Okay, so here in these slip stitches we're going to be inserting in the back loop only. So we have the front loop, this one, and we have the back loop, this one. Okay, so in the first 4 stitches I'm going to put slip stitch. That's 1 in the back loop, in the following in the back loop again, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, so I'm going to introduce another pattern here, but it's a very simple pattern. We're going to be alternating half double crochet and slip stitch. So after doing this 4 slip stitches here, we're going to do another slip stitch, but this time I'm going to insert it below both loops. Set my hook here like this, grab my yarn, and then pull through. So that's 1 slip stitch there. And then in the next stitch we're going to do half double crochet. So with half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, grab your yarn and pull through so that you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and then pull through all the 3 loops. Okay, so here we have 1 slip stitch here, and then 1 half double crochet. In the next stitch I'm going to do slip stitch like that. In the following, half double crochet. Like that. In the next, slip stitch like this. So I want to create this pattern here. Okay. In the following, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch like this. So I'm going to continue here, and let's meet towards the end. So I'm almost at the end here. Just did a slip stitch here, and then following half double crochet, slip stitch, up until we're left with 4 stitches. Half double crochet, this one, slip stitch. Okay, so if you had to count here, we're left with 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So here I'm going to do the pattern here, which is slip stitch in the back loop like that, and then pull through. And then we're at the end of the second row. So you find that this is the wrong side and this is the right side of our bag. So you have these grooves here or ridges. Okay, so here this is row 2 that we finished. We move on to row 3. I chain 1 and then I turn. So row 3 is just going to be slip stitch throughout. Okay, so it's just going to be slip stitch in the back loop throughout like that. in the back loop, like that. So just continue here. You should turn your work here so that you see the stitches, okay? Do not be confused with these ones. These are your stitches. So you turn them so that they face you, and then do one slip stitch, okay? One slip stitch like that. Sorry. Like that. In the back loop, one slip stitch. Set your hook in the back loop, one slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to continue all the way. So this is the third row. Make sure you're inserting your hook in the back loop. So turn your work, that way it's easier to identify your stitches, like this. Okay, so this is our slip stitch in the back loop. So I'm just going to continue here up until we're at the end here. So here I've done slip stitch for row 3 up until I'm at the end. So now I want to move on to row 4. So you chain 1, make sure that you chain 1, and then you turn. Okay, so here for row 4 you repeat what we did with row 2, okay, whereby we began with 4 slip stitches, and then the pattern of slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, up until you are towards the end, and then you finish off with 4 slip stitches here. So you just repeat what we did with the second row. Okay, so here the first 4 stitches are going to be slip stitch in the back loop. This one is a turning chain, doesn't count as a stitch. So here, 1 slip stitch in the following, 2 slip stitch, 3 slip stitch, and then 4 slip stitch. Okay, I begin the pattern of slip stitch and then half double crochet, but now we're inserting our hook below both loops. So we have these 2 loops here. I insert below and then put 1 slip stitch. So you begin with a slip stitch followed by half double crochet. Okay, insert below both loops like this, and then 1 half double crochet in the following slip stitch like this. In the next, half double crochet in the following slip stitch. In the next, half double crochet. Okay, so you can see that we're creating another row here. Okay, so this is row 4. We are repeating row 2. So I find that with this side you won't be able to see the slip stitch that we did previously in row 3, but here on this other side you can slightly see it. So in counting your rows, this is row 1, row 2, the slip stitch, which is row 3, and then this one that we're doing is row 4. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the pattern up until we're towards the end here. Okay, so here I'm towards the end of row 4, half double crochet here, and this one slip stitch below both loops. So here if you count your stitches that we're left with, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so that means you're going to do slip stitch in the back loop to finish off the row. Okay, so don't forget this part. Okay, slip stitch in the back loop, like that. So row 4 is complete. Okay, so the next row, which is row 5, you chain 1 and then you 10. So for row 5 we repeat row 3, that is do slip stitch in the back loop throughout up until at the end here. So here you just put 1 slip stitch in each stitch, 1 slip stitch in each stitch. So this is row 5. 1 2 3 4. So I continue. At this point you want your stitches to face you and then insert your hook in the back loop. Okay, like that. So we're going to be repeating row 2 and row 3 up until we finish the back. Okay, so here I'm repeating row 3, and then in the following row I'll be repeating row 2. So we're going to repeat row 2 and row 3 up until we finish the back. I'm going to come back again. We want to change and put a little bit of style, so I'll change this color to brown. So I'll just come back to show you how I change the colors, and then we'll continue. But otherwise we're repeating row 2 and row 3 up until we finish. So we're going to do 27 rows for us to be able to finish the bag. But if you want to change also the color in the middle like what I want to do, let's meet after we finish row 11 and then change the colors. So right now I want to change the yarn color. So right now here I've done a few number of rows. It's about 11 rows here if you had to count them. So here if you count this side, you find that you will not see the slip stitch. It is being overlapped by this other row. So if you turn it, okay, like this, so we can start here. This is the first row of single crochet. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11. So here I was doing the row of slip stitch. So this is the row that I'm going to change my yarn. Okay, so this is the right side, so it's better to change your yarn so that you fasten it off this other side so that it doesn't show the side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm left with this one last slip stitch. So here I'm going to insert, but I'm not going to take this yarn here. I'm just going to put a little bit of brown. So I'm going to yarn over and put through the brown here and then make the slip stitch like that. Okay, so we'll fasten this off later on. So now I'm going to be using the brown color. So I chain 1 and then I turn. So I'm just going to continue with the pattern just like we were doing before. And then in the first stitch, first 4, we're going to put slip stitch just like we did in the previous rows. Only that this time we now have the brown color like this. Okay, 1 2 3, and then the 4th one. So here we now continue with the pattern. So in this one we're going to put the slip stitch below both loops. Okay, and then we put the half double crochet in the following slip stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to complete this row and then show you how it comes out. Okay, so I finished this row with a brown color. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few rows here. The next one is going to be slip stitch, and then the next one is going to be this pattern, and then I'm going to do a total of 6 rows and then come back to change again the yarn back to orange. Welcome back. So here I've done 6 rows of this brown color here, and if you were to count them, just turn your work, it's easier to count them this side. Okay, so we have this one, 1 2 3 4 5, and then this slip stitch at the top here to make them 6. Okay, so here we now want to go back to this color of orange, but if you want to continue with brown up until you finish the bag, it's still fine. So here we were doing slip stitch at the top here. So now, so insert your hook, change your yarn color to orange, chain 1 and then 10. So just going to continue here and then do 10 more rows, then come back. So here we now have a total of 27 rows, and if you want your bag to be bigger, you can still add more rows. Okay, so now I want to do the last row, and it should be the same as this one. It should also have this curve here. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to count my stitches, and then in the 17th stitch I'm just going to put a stitch marker. So here it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17. Okay, so I'm going to put a stitch marker in stitch number 18 here. Okay, like that. So here we're going to do single crochet. This is going to be our last row. So here I chain 1 and then I 10. In the first 4 stitches I'm going to put slip stitch just like we did at the beginning, as well as the other rows. 2 3 4. Then from here I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch up until I made the stitch with the marker. Okay, so below both loops like this, 1 single crochet, in the following 1 single crochet like that, in the next 1 single crochet, So here, this is stitch number 18, and we want to create this curve that we did at the beginning. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to decrease the number of our stitches, crochet together. That is, I'm going to insert here, pull through, okay, insert in the following stitch, yarn over, pull through, okay, insert again in the third one, and pull through, okay, so that I have 4 loops like this, and over, then pull through all. Okay, so I'm going to continue with 1 single crochet the rest of the stitches, and then do slip stitch at the end. Okay, so here we're towards the end. 1 2 3 4 5. So here we put another single crochet, then the last 4 we put slip stitch in the back loop, like this. Okay, so this is what we're going to work with. Okay, so you can try and straighten it out before we join the sides. Okay, so here at the end I'm going to cut and fasten off. Okay, so here I'm going to fasten this off and then come back to join. So this ones I'm going to fasten these threads and then come back to join the sides. So I'm just fastening off using a tapestry needle, just hiding the threads. Okay, so this is the wrong side and this is the right side. So I finished fastening off. Okay, so before you join, just straighten out your work. Okay, so this is the wrong side and this is the right side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold in the middle. This is the wrong side. Okay, we're going to turn it to the right side after we join the sides. So here I'm going to join each side, okay, using a tapestry needle. This, so I'm going to come here, so you join each stitch with the one corresponding from the other side. Okay, so here I'm going to join the front loop of the side, okay, to the back loop of this side that is closer to me, like this. Okay, just going to leave this for fastening off. So I'm just going to go through this once more so that it's a bit strong. Okay, so we'll move on into the following stitches. Okay, the front loop of the side to the back loop, like that. So I'm just going to continue. Let's meet towards here. Okay, so I've joined, okay, to the last stitches here. So I'm just going to fasten this off as well as this one, and then we're going to come again to the side. Okay, and then we're going to join like we did this side. Okay, so let's come again and join here and then come back. Welcome back. So we've just finished joining the sides. Okay, the sides, so you find that this is the wrong side, so we're going to turn our bag. Okay, so this is our bag. Okay, so now for this one we're going to put a chain as the handle, but if you want you can just crochet a simple handle and then attach it here. You can check out my other cross bags that I did on how I attached a handle here. Okay, so I'm just going to take this one, so I'll come and join with the far end here. Okay, so I've joined this side, so I'm going to go on and join again this side, fasten off the ends and then come back. Okay, so we now have our handle in place. So here I'm just going to put a little bit of decoration here. If you want, you can. If you don't, it's still fine. So I'm just going to attach here as well as this side and then come back. Welcome back. So this is our back and it is done. Okay, it's a nice and simple crossbody bag. Thank you for watching Mima's Crafts. Please do subscribe, like and comment for more videos. Thank you.